For the first time in their history, the Waratahs were kept scoreless against South African Conference leaders and back-to-back Super Rugby runners-up, the Lions. The embarrassing 29-0 defeat, only their second of the loss of the season, was made worse by the fact it was on home soil. New podcast. Australian Sevens veteran James Stannard and Wallaroos star Grace Hamilton join Nick McArdle, Stephen Hollies and Christy Doran. Subscribe to the podcast on iTunes by clicking here. After 5 days of soul-searching, the Waratahs captain said his side needed to work on their game management after drifting away from their game plan. Once we got a few points behind, we were chasing the game and tried to play those high-pressure plays, and that, unfortunately, showed a bit of immaturity in our team, Hooper said. It's something we've got to improve at. What probably the leaders within that Waratahs group didn't do well was play to where the Lions weren't strong. Where they are really strong is they get in your 22. They score points, and for whatever reason, because maybe we started to feel like we couldn't score points, we were getting frustrated. We started playing out of that area. Sure enough, they turned it over and were just able to wear us down with their maul scrum. Lions crush woeful Waratahs 238. While the heavy defeat was a setback, particularly ahead of their make-or-break month against New Zealand opposition, the impact was somewhat eased after their domestic rivals also all went down. The Waratahs have the bye this weekend and will return to training on Thursday ahead their crunch match against the Blues at Brookvale Oval the following Saturday. Hooper said he was hoping that the side would deliver a similar response to the one last month when they responded from a heavy defeat against the Jaguares in Argentina to demolish the then Super Rugby leaders, the Rebels, in Sydney. We came up against a top team last week and we fell quite a way short, obviously not getting a point on the board, he said. Now to have to sit back for 2 weeks and not be able to do anything about that is really frustrating. I'm absolutely dying to get down to Brookvale to face the Blues. Michael Hooper believes Australian rugby must show resilience. Source: Getty Images. After a nightmare round last week for Australian sides, who went 0-4 against overseas teams, the challenge doesn't get any easier this week. The Brumbies and Reds come up against last year's finalists on Saturday, while the Rebels have the notoriously difficult task against the Stormers at Newlands in Cape Town on Friday night. While there's an element of pessimism swirling in the air, Hooper said the challenging weeks ahead of Australia's 4 franchises would be character-building. We've got to build resilience, said Hooper, who, after 2 separate stints as Wallabies captain, will take on the role full-time in 2018. One loss doesn't define your season. One loss doesn't mean you're a bad team. The Rebels went 4-0 with bonus points in each one of those games, so they've got a lot to be confident about. Likewise with the other Australian teams, there's still so much left in the season. 5-4. As before the Irish series, everyone's in with a shout in competitive. In my position, building resilience is really important, and one game doesn't mean you're a bad team, but you've got to learn from your missed opportunities. The latest sports news, in your inbox daily.